Hey guys, it's Ben with Living in Lakeland, and today I'm going over the cost of living here in the Lakeland area. There's going to be a lot of moving parts here. I do have a little spreadsheet I kind of put together, but we're going to get to housing costs, utilities costs, automobile and insurance costs, just kind of the general stuff. I'm not going to go too deep into stuff like dining, going out, entertainment, stuff like that, because that'll vary depending on what you like to do. So let's get right into it. All right, guys, so a little bit about me. If you are new here, my name is Ben DeHaven. I am a licensed real estate agent here in Central Florida. So if you are planning on making the move to Lakeland or the surrounding area, give me a call. We can go over this in detail for your personal situation. All of my contact information is always in the description down below, so you can reach out, you can call me, you can text me, you can email me, whatever is easiest for you. It's all down there, so check it out. But let's get right into it. We're going to start off first with housing costs. Now, sorry if I keep looking down. I have a spreadsheet that I put together. We are going to use the average cost here of about $400,000 for a home, assuming FHA 3.5% down. If you're coming in and paying cash, of course, this is going to be different. If you're putting 20% down, this is going to be different. If you are using a USDA loan, it's going to be different. So again, this is just assuming a $400,000 purchase, 3.5% down at a 7% rate. And then if you are looking at new construction, I've seen a couple builders offering to buy that down 2 points to 4.995%. So I'm doing a 7% comparison versus a 5% comparison, just to give you some numbers to let you know that the interest rate is playing a big factor here. So let's start with 7%, $400,000 home at 3.5% down. You are going to be looking at, this is with taxes and insurance, $3,600 a month here in the Lakeland area. Now, if we go new construction and you get a little bit better rate, it's bought down to that 5%, you are looking at a $500 savings. A 2% interest rate is going to save you $500 a month. You're going to be looking at $3,100 for your mortgage payment. So big difference there, and that is due to, of course, 1% of your purchase price. That's $400,000 to be a little less than $4,000 a year. So that gets divided out into $4,000 gets divided out over 12 months, and that's where that comes from. So two of those, that's $8,000 a year. So divided over the 12, that's where that difference is. So it's not pretty. I wish it was 2.5%, 3% like it used to be. Is it getting back down to a more reasonable rate? I believe so. So we're just going to see what's happening there. So just as a note, at a 7% interest rate on a $100,000 increment. So if you were to go from a $400,000 to a $500,000 house, or if we find you a $300,000 house, you can take off $750 or add $750 depending on which way you go. So a $500,000 house would be an additional $750 per month on top of that $3,600, or $622 a month on top of that $3,100 at 5%. So $750 per $100,000 borrowed, and that's at 7%. Now at 5%, you are looking at $620 a month. So again, if you really want to know these numbers, call me. Let's go over it, because there's so many moving parts here. It's kind of hard to go over everything. Now that does not include a HOA or a CDD. So if you are in one of the new communities where it's $2,000 a year for the CDD, and then $50 a month for the HOA, that gets added in. That's like another $200 a month, give or take a little bit. So that's something that you need to consider. We can find you one without that if you are looking for that. But if you want the pool, the splash pads, the walking paths, the gym, all that kind of stuff, that's, you're going to pay it here or you're going to pay it there. So it really just depends on if you want it closer to home or not. So we are going to move over to utilities now. Now I do have printouts for Lakeland and all their charges per kilowatt hour. If you go over 1,000 kilowatt hours, it goes up. Over 1,500, it goes up. If you're outside of the Lakeland city limits, it goes up. But I can send you over to the Lakeland Electric website, and you can see all this data. It's really quite boring unless you're super into numbers, and I've got my notes all over here. So just plan a newer construction house. I would say plan around $260 a month. If you're getting a older home, like single pane windows, jalousie windows, those ones that are all slotted like this, where there's a seam every 3 or 4 inches, that's going to be up from the 260, probably closer to 400. There's a lot of moving parts here, but the average I would say is 260. If you get one of those brand new homes that they're saying, a video I just did, best location, it says best location up at the top real quick, Hancock Crossings. They're saying your power bill is going to be $60 a month. So again, we can get you a super efficient house, or you can find solar panels. There's a lot of moving parts here, but mid 200s for power for a budget purpose, just to kind of get you an idea of what this number is going to be here. Water bill, I'm ballparking about $60 a month. Now, this is going to depend. Do you have a pool? Are you running sprinklers? Without a sprinkler well, an irrigation well, that's going to make a difference too. Again, I have, and this is on Lakeland Electric site. It is per 1,000 gallons. 0 to 7 is $2.29 inside, or $3.06 outside of city limits. 8 to 12,000 gallons is more. 13 to 19,000, over 19,000 is more. So there's a whole bunch of different. There's a bunch of math there. If you're using tons of water, if you've got 6 kids and they all take long showers, or if there's just 1 or 2 of you, that's going to be different. But $60 a month is what I have in here for this example to kind of budget for to be expected expenses. Now, internet. Some of the HOA or CDD communities are including internet. It really depends. Again, this is case-by-case basis. I am paying $60 a month for internet. I know some people need more speed than that. I feel like you can pay up to 120. Really just depends if you bundle it with your cable. If you still have cable, that number could go from $60 to $180 a month. Just depends on if you're using a bunch of streaming services or anything like that. And I'm not really going to get into that either, because there's Disney Plus, there's Amazon Prime, there's Hulu, there's too many of them. And no matter where you're coming from, if you already have those subscriptions, you can put that in your budget. That's not going to be more expensive because you moved to Florida. So keep whatever you are using there in as your number. Now, something else that I did mention in my con video is the yard service. So if you don't want to get out and mow and weed eat, pull weeds and all that, that would be something that you would have to consider. $160 a month is probably not unrealistic for having somebody come out during the summer every week and mow, weed eat, edge, leaf blow, spray the weeds. They're not going to hand pick the weeds. You're going to have to hire somebody else to do that if you don't want spray around your house. So another 160, could be a little bit more, could be a little bit less, depends on yard size. But if you budget 160 and it comes in under that, great news for you. So going to move on now to the grocery bill. And again, this is going to be like your power bill and your water bill. It's going to fluctuate. Depends on where you shop, depends on how often you eat, depends on how many people you're feeding. A lot's going on there. Me and my wife, I have listed here about $1,800 a month on groceries. That's going to Publix or Walmart or to Aldi to get. Those are the main shopping centers around here. You can find some other ones. You could, run over, if you're closer to Tampa, go to Whole Foods and spend a lot more. You could kind of shop around a little bit and maybe get that down a little bit. But I'm saying $1,800 a month. That's for 2 of us. Now, if you do have kids or there's young adults with you, that number's going to go up. Depending on where you are, it's probably not going to be a whole lot different because you're moving states. Now, if you're buying groceries for $50 a week or something like that, it's going to be more expensive here. But again, it depends on your diet. It depends on what you're eating. If you're eating organic or not. If you're eating a lot of veggies, stuff like that. That's just kind of budget $1,500 to $2,000 a month, in my opinion, for buying groceries. And that does not include eating out. I am not going to include eating out in here because if you eat out 3 or 4 times a week, your budget is going to be way different from an example that I would do here of going out once a week or once every other week for date night. And it depends. Is it just you and a significant other, family, significant other, and kids? That number is going to go up. I feel like an average meal for dinner around here, if you go out somewhere with taxes and tip, expect to spend $25 a person. That's not including an alcoholic beverage if you are a drinker. So that number would only go up from there. And that's not anything crazy if you're going to 1961 for dinner. Double that number. There's some nicer restaurants around. And that's not even eating at junk restaurants either, where you could probably get dinner for $15 a person. But I'm saying if you expect $25 a person for dinner, for food, not beverages, you're expecting $25 per person for dinner. Lunch, if you're eating lunch out, I would say probably $18 to $20 per person, with tip and taxes included. So, just kind of figure that out on your own. If you eat out 4 or 5 days a week, run that math. That's, what I have 25 times 2 times 5, whatever that number is for you. Again, you can spend a lot more, you can spend a lot less. And that's also why I'm not, if you go out and hit up the bars, or if you're going to concerts, stuff like that, I'm not including any of that because that varies person to person. Now, for cars, automobiles, I am using an example here that I pulled up. National average car payment is $700 a month. That, again, if you have a car already or your car's paid off, you can carry that number over down here. You don't have to get a new car. You might want to get a new car with air-conditioned seats. If you're coming from up north and you get into your car and it's 1,000 degrees, you're going to want that air-conditioned seat. But I have a tip for you. If you get your windows tinted and try and park in the shade, it's not that bad. So 2 little bonus tips there. Windows tinted, park in the shade, seats won't be on fire. So you don't have to buy a new car to come here. If you have one, you can bring it. Not a big deal. Now, for insurance, MarketWatch.com says full coverage average for Florida is $270 per vehicle per month. So put that into your calculator, 270. Now that's for full coverage. You can cheap out and get something a little less. There is a lot of uninsured motorists here in Florida, so I would have the full coverage to help cover you in case somebody hits you and they don't have insurance. And then you're not at fault. So there's, a whole bunch of drama there, but full coverage. You can do cheaper insurance, but I would recommend the full coverage, $270 a month. So that's if you have one car, like my wife and I, one car payment, truck is paid off, insurance is probably around $300 a month for our setup. So we're looking at around $1,000 a month for cars, the car and truck for insurance. Again, if you have 3 cars, 4 cars, you need to do the math there. So I'm going to tally all this up and go over what you can look to spend mostly on housing and utilities, because like I said, lifestyle, I'm not going to bring lifestyle into this because that number, you can blow that way out of proportion if you are traveling a lot or stuff like that. So this is just on housing. So guys, wrapping this video up, a $400,000 house here in Lakeland, with all the expenses that I went over in this video, you're looking at right around $7,000 a month in monthly bills, in utilities, in insurance, in automotive, in household stuff, taxes, insurance. That's just getting started. Again, that's not going over any of the lifestyle stuff. That's not health insurance. That's not traveling. That's not student loans. That is not savings. That's not 401k. Just to live here, you're looking at around $6,950 a month. So is that cheap? Is that expensive? Depends on where you're coming from. I get a lot of calls from you guys in Miami that want to move up here. 863-333-5053. Be happy to talk to you about it. We're cheaper than it is. Even Tampa and Orlando. A lot of people are coming from Tampa and Orlando and landing right here in the Lakeland area, Plant City, Winter Haven, Auburndale, because you're less than an hour to those cities and there's so much to do. But it is cheaper because one of the same houses here that you can get for $400 might over there be $550, $550. So you're looking at another, in this example, another $750 a month just to live an hour closer to Tampa or Orlando. Does that make sense to you? Maybe. I have no idea. So that's something that we need to talk about. Again, all my contact information is in the description. We can go over this. And I have a little trick for you that I'll throw up on the screen here, but the Polk tax collector, this is a question, probably one of my most asked questions is, what are my taxes going to be on this property? So there's a lot of considerations there. Stuff like if it was new construction, there's no history, no way to know. If it was an older home and somebody bought it a couple years ago and homesteaded it, those taxes would be different than if somebody bought it 30 or 40 years ago, and it was homesteaded. So over at the Polk Property Appraiser website, there is a tax estimator that you can use. I'll have that here on the screen. You can check it out. Let me know what you think. But thank you guys for watching. It means a ton. I'd love for you to subscribe so you can get notified every single time I post a video. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next week.